불멸의 전사 2.
It's like a 12-hour journey down there by plane, so maybe one day, maybe if there's a Starcraft tournament down there. Anyway, guys, we got our next matchup on the way. ByuL versus Patience. Patience is 0-2, not 0-3. Gotta give him credit there.
Is it just me, or ByuL's pentagram got a lot smaller than it was before?
Yeah, it's shrunk a bit.
Yeah.
It's good you point that out. I guess that has to do with just his recent lack of success across individual leagues as well as Pro League. Just really not the ByuL that we knew from 2015. Maybe after a bunch of the second places that he got and the just the upsets that he had to deal with, maybe he took a little bit of a break. But he's beginning to slowly come back here. You can feel it.
But as we see here with the predictions, everyone here at SPL2016 is voting for ByuL, so not really too much confidence in Patience for this game. And even though ByuL isn't doing as well as he did before, he's a favorite here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Patience just, he did decently well at SSL, but then he got crushed by stats. And ever since then, he just hasn't been the same person ever again. So we'll see if he can pull off the upset here against ByuL. We're going to jump into game number 2 in just a minute, guys. Tell your friends to get into the stream and watch some good StarCraft, some good Team League over here at Pro League. The highest level in the world that we do have. Thinking about what else I can say here to delay this, as we do have a little bit of a delay getting into this map. But it looks like it's all ready now, GTR, as we get into game number 2, ByuL versus Patience. Down here at the bottom, up in the top right, it is Patience in the purple for Afreeca Freaks.
And spawning here at the bottom left is ByuL, the yellow Zerg for CJ Antis.
Yeah, my computer was spazzing out there a little bit. Not sure what was the problem. Hey guys, thanks for coming down.
I don't think they have the earphones in their ear. So.
Maybe if I say it loud enough, they can hear me. Thanks!
Thanks, guys, for coming down to the studio.
They may have heard that one, actually. It's the Koreans take a pause.
But it's always good to see people come down here to Korea to watch StarCraft or any esport here. Korea is the mecca of esports in the world, so always good to see people come here, and we're always happy to say hi after every broadcast, take some photos, do some autographs maybe, talk about the games.
Just like followers of, well, I mean, if you're interested in mecha, just like that for Korea, you can come on down. And of course, as we mentioned before, it is free to get into any of the studios here. Outside of like the finals that are in the big, gigantic gymnasiums or the stadiums and stuff like that.
If it's something like, say, League of Legends, maybe you have to pay, but it's a very minimal fee compared to the rest of the world, so it's very reasonable because the demand's so high for those games. But moving on to here, we do see ByuL going for that early hatchery with that spawning pool gas. It feels like deja vu, honestly, with that last game. With the same build order that he did as what Curious did. But we see a deviation here from Patience, getting that early double gas and opting to go for the Cybernetics core after the gateway rather than going for the 2 gateways.
They're going to be just a little bit more passive here. He finally does get the scout off onto ByuL. He did go top left into bottom right before scouting cross spawns here, so maybe he wanted to change up his build specifically based on what he did scout or where he scouted his opponent was at. Maybe if he saw his opponent was a little bit closer, he would add a second gate or something like that. But
and luckily for Patience, there isn't that the horizontal spawns that we see sometimes on this map. And when we see the horizontal spawns in Zerg versus Protoss, most of the time we do see that Roach Ravager all-in build from the Zergs. And with these cross positions, though, we probably won't see that here from ByuL today.
Yeah, hopefully we get to see a bit more of a macro game here. Lerilak Crest is a 4-player map, not our biggest one, but it's no Frost, right? But still very big, especially when you do get to cross spawns here. And And we'll see how these players do want to play it out. It looks like Stargate Tech for Patience here is going to be in order, and Overlord Speed for ByuL. This has kind of been the trend nowadays. If you guys are just tuning in after a while, Zergs love to get that Overlord Speed. Make sure they get the scouting information. You can also add in some Baneling drops a little bit later on after you morph your Overlords if you do want to go down that path as well.
Yeah, Dark showing in those SSL finals that I mentioned before in the last game, using those Overlords with speed to scout so you don't have to morph them into Overseers. And also when those Phoenixes do come out, they can easily run away from those Phoenix shots compared to what we had before with the slow Overlords. So always a good upgrade to work with. As we see here, actually, Patience is posturing to go for a quick third expansion behind this one Phoenix. So very risky play, but with these cross positions, not really much ByuL can do about it.
Yeah, ByuL's going to get a bit of a scout in the main. It looks like I'm actually on the wrong observer on my computer. There we go. Is going to finally kill this Overlord, but it does get the scout on the third base. And let's see what the response here is from ByuL. For ByuL, I mean, he's got to feel like he is the favorite coming into this one, just based on the results of the two players or what their form is at right now. I wouldn't be surprised if he's just like, okay, well, let's sit back and go into a bit of a macro game. You know, maybe I can go up to ultras very fast if I want to do that kind of play, or just, you know, sit back and play that macro game.
For sure. I mean, as you said, ByuL is the heavy favorite in this game, so there's no real penalty of going for the macro game, because 9 out of 10 times, if you play the macro game against a inferior opponent, you will usually win that game. So no surprise here, ByuL's not going to do anything too crazy. He's just going to play this out like a normal game, see what happens, see what his opponent's doing, and adapt to what his Patience is doing.
Notice that we do have the Baneling Nest and the Evo Chamber coming down at the same time. This looks a lot like what Dark likes to do. And notice the positions. I'm not even sure if you guys can see it on the minimap. Of the two Overlords that are out on the map right now, even with the Phoenixes, there's one all the way up in the top left and one all the way down in the bottom right. He's essentially saying these Phoenixes will never scout me. I'm keeping them as safe as possible to make sure I can, you know, go for at least a scout here.
Yeah, and obviously the Baneling Nest is only there for those Baneling drops, as we do see the Infestation Pit go down for ByuL, and he's also getting that +1 range. So obviously he probably doesn't want to work with the melee tech for now, with those Zerglings, with those Banelings. He wants to get to Hive Tech quickly. From there, I'm not too sure what he wants to do. Maybe he wants to get quick Ultralists, maybe he wants to get Broodlords. We'll just have to wait and see, as these Overlords are actually scouting that they don't actually have any Banelings in them.
This is so weird. He's forcing a gigantic pull and an overcharge, and just, he's got nothing in the Overlords. That's why I was saying, you know, maybe he just go for a scout, because he had nothing ready to go in these Overlords. I think Patience is beginning to recognize, like, hey, there's nothing in this. He forced overcharge, and now he's going to try to Nidus in.
That's a really good play there from ByuL, faking out Patience there with these fake Overlord drops. And as he said, he forced those pylon overcharges, which means that there are no... Oh! Swarm Host! Is this a what? Click? Or he's actually getting swarmed? Okay, so...
Is he just styling on Patience right now? Is this happening?
Because he knows that there's no energy on the Mothership core for those pylon overcharges, so if he gets that Nidus network up with those Swarm Hosts, then I'm not really sure if Patience can defend it. We'll just have to wait and see how this goes.
This is insanity. You guys are watching something very non-standard here. I'll just say that. Man. And, I mean, I was taking a look at the Mothership. It does, a Mothership core, it does have 2 overcharges right now. May even have 3 in just a bit. It's at 125 energy for now.
I'm really curious if ByuL wants to split this up, because he's got the Nidus network here at where Patience would normally take his 4th or 5th base, but looks like here ByuL is just going to, oh, that's really awesome. He's going to borrow those Swarm Hosts, get the Locusts out, harass these bases, and just try and draw Patience on the map.
Cool.
I know. Will he actually get this Nexus? If he gets this Nexus, that's going to be amazing.
That's the thing about Swarm Hosts. These Locusts do so much damage now. They drop right on top of the Nexus, and they get an immediate surround, and they just... They crushed it. They took out all the shields there. It was a really nice response from Patience right away to get the lifts and even pull the probes to make sure that didn't go down. and I'm not sure. Okay, he is going to follow up here.
He's going to follow up, but if these Swarm Hosts get lifted by these Phoenixes, that's not going to be good for ByuL because he needs these Swarm Hosts to deal a lot of damage for him. But looks like Patience wants to move back here. I think he's just defending this Nexus.
Yeah, going to try to do it here. Double overcharge should be enough. Maybe we'll lose one pylon here. Triple overcharge even. Patience taking this very, very seriously.
More Swarm Hosts are actually coming out here for ByuL, and actually ByuL's putting down a lot of creep tumors here, so he definitely wants to start spreading that creep there from that 5th base, but we do see the army of Patience, walking over to this Nidus Worm. He wants to take that out before it causes him too much more damage, but another Nidus network here. Oh my god, there's so many Nidus networks here from ByuL. He's just running all over the place with these.
This is so interesting. He's actually trying to make these Swarm Hosts work on a very big map, going for this harass. Patience is trying to do some counter harass himself. He's going to have an Archon with 2 Zealots drop out here, going to warp in about 5 more. And he's got another Warp Prism also coming in here. Looks like ByuL isn't immediately responding to this, but is coming back to try to defend.
Yeah, as we see here, ByuL's just pumping Zerglings now because Swarm Hosts aren't really the best unit to use against a player like Patience, who's harassing with... Oh, whoa, whoa, as I say that Nexus out at 12 o'clock has to get cancelled, and this defense on ByuL does what it needs to do, so I love this Nidus play from ByuL because he's using these Nidus networks. Swarm Hosts generally associated as really immobile units, but if you use those Nidus networks to your advantage, you can move them all around the map and start casting Locusts.
Try to get out of there with your Swarm Hosts. I hope no force fields come down. He is on the chase here. He could drop out some Locusts now for the defense. He doesn't have much else. That is the thing. I love the fact that Patience is attacking here, just because when you go for Swarm Hosts, it's such a huge commitment. Look at how many Archons are in this mix.
But their Infestors are out, but he doesn't have any energy for fungal growth, so he has to cast these Infested Terrans, but these Infested Terrans don't do anything. There's so much splash damage on the Archons, and where are the Locusts?
The cooldown from the Swarm Host is so high, so the Locusts come out and they don't do much for the splash damage with the Archons, and now everything for the Protoss is getting right on top of everything of ByuL's.
Oh, I think Patience has done it. He's hit a nice timing there where ByuL only had those Swarm Hosts, and Swarm Hosts aren't enough.
GG. Okay, well,
it was a cool play from ByuL, but I don't think he followed it up too well. He didn't really see what Patience was doing in terms of his competition. He didn't really see that there was a counterattack coming in.
He almost committed too much to the Swarm Host. He made 12 of them, and he also had the Nidus network out. That's so much gas. You could tell that when the attack hit, as you were saying, it was just too late in terms of what he had for defense. The Infestors didn't have enough energy. He had some Lings, basically no Banelings. Like, some of them went off to stop the harass at the 3rd base, but outside of that, he just did not have the necessary defense, and I can't help but feel that ByuL was like trying a new style and was trying to style on Patience here, but it just did not work.
Yeah, it seems like the style does work in theory, but when he practically tried to use it against Patience, it did look nice at the start, but it didn't really feel like there was a proper tree to work off per se, I guess. A flow chart was the term I'm looking for that exact build order, and I think it is good in theory, but it just needs a bit more work to be done with that build.
Yeah, maybe knock out some of those timings, like hammer it down really tight there, but Patience really happy after his win, and he's going to keep Afreeca in this for sure. We were talking about how Hero and ByuL generally are the players for CJ Entus that get the wins, but taking out ByuL is taking out one of their ace players, and I feel like the other guys from CJ are going to have to turn it on here to make sure they get the win.
For sure. I mean, Bunny and Ragnarok are the next 2 plays for CJ, as we see here. Our next game will be Bomber against Bunny. Very close game in my opinion.
Yeah, the battle of the Bs, the battle of the Ts too, with the 2 Terrans going up against each other. That will be on Frost. But as always, guys, as is the way of Pro League, we are going to take a quick 3-minute break before we do get to game number 3. So stay tuned. We'll be right back for Bomber versus Bunny.